Christmas or happy birthday,
Or
as
happy
fresh with the snow.
holidays.
Happy holidays. How is everybody? Welcome to another episode of KDM. K standing for Kit Bowen. Hi, Kit.
Hi,
D
D
is
standing for
Demetri.
Demetri.
Yep. And M stands for movies. And this episode, well, it's a very special episode. It's our best and worst, or the hits and shits of 2024. And we will break this down to you. We're gonna do our we're gonna do our top five worst movies, which is kind of an oxymoron if you think about
Yeah,
it. Top five worst, and then we're gonna do our five best or favorite movies, I think,
yeah,
is a good way to put it because again, being that things can be subjective, you may not agree with either our worst list and or our best list. So there are favorite movies of the year. Next year, 2025, we will talk Oscar. But right now, we want to talk about what we believed are our favorites and worst movies of the year, and we're gonna start off. We're gonna start off with the worst. Like this is
yes.
always a fun thing to start off with, the worst. And are these going to be in any particular order, Kit? I mean, the worst. I
Nah.
mean, could you have like the first worst movie? Like this is the best worst movie of the year. No,
Yeah,
so it's in no particular order.
I'll just
Go ahead.
briefly go through five that I just didn't really like all that much.
Yes,
Um,
great. And
on,
should we go one and one?
yeah.
Like, yeah, okay. Go. So
So
go ahead.
my first one is, unfortunately, the more I think about it, the less I liked it, is the Joker, uh,
Oh,
whatever,
okay.
Bold to do, whatever it is. Joker 2. Um, I know that when we did our podcast together, I wasn't glowing about it. You liked it a lot more than I did, but I I still find it was very disappointing as far as, what I was expecting, and expectations are always hard, but I just felt the vision of what Todd Phillips was trying to do just wasn't my jam at all, and the more I think about it, the less I liked it. So, I still feel that some of the things I said, like, Lady Gaga, I thought was quite good in it. She made it that much better for me. But just the overall depressing, horrible, just, not, no reason for it to be as low as it was. So yeah, that's probably. I mean, I wouldn't say it's my most hated film of the year, but certainly it's in my top five.
Okay, I'm going to start off with my one of the movies that I loathe, makes this list for me, was the movie Trap.
Well,
This is
that's on
the
my list too.
that's
So
that
let's both
is
put that on our lists.
yeah, that the M Night Shyamalan movie with Josh Hartnett, who turns in an okay performance, albeit that third act just flies off the wheel.
Yeah,
And this movie, again, you just mentioned expectations regarding Joker, right? And that's a big expectations on this movie because A, it is M. Night Shyamalan.
right.
They did a good job marketing this movie. I have to say, they made it intriguing. And then you watch it and it just I was dumbfounded.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the first movie that I'm gonna
And
talk
that's
about
my
as
second movie, and I feel the same way. It was just, the pedigree of having Shyamalan there, just did not. You know what? That's he. I feel bad for the guy because I really do like him as a filmmaker for many many reasons, but he really misses a lot of the time, and I just don't know where where it goes wrong sometimes. But this definitely went wrong. I mean,
yeah, it went wrong.
Josh Hartnett did his best to kind of play the affable serial killer type, but it just that you're right. That last act of it, actually, last two acts of it, really, because the setup's kind of fun, but then yeah, it
Yes.
just progressively gets worse.
And it rewatchability, by the ways, and because sometimes I have DirecTV, right? I have not cut the cord, so to speak. I love having my movie channels and love scrolling through them all. And Trap is now on cable. And I was like, you know what? Was I too harsh? Do you ever do that?
Yes, of
You
course.
know, was I too harsh about a movie? I'm sure
Yes.
you all do. You've all like maybe really loathed the movie, but you'll go back saying, "Was I wrong?" No, I was 100%. It does not get better. It
Yeah.
only gets worse. So
Yes.
Trap is mine. So we both did Trap. What is your what's
Third
another
one.
one of yours?
No,
Yeah,
actually, you get number two. Now you're
no, it's
going to another.
okay. No, you oh, that's right. You did. Okay. But
Yeah. So
all
I
right.
trap was
So
my second one. So your
okay,
second one?
so I'm gonna go with Gladiator 2. I'm gonna go with Gladiator 2. Had it not been called Gladiator 2, I might have thought better of the movie, but
Hmm.
it's in this Gladiator universe. It's
Hmm.
Ridley Scott. It did have cast
Yeah.
to it, and it was a huge disappointment and fail, I believed. And that was a movie. The more I watched the original, which has also been on, if you have Paramount Plus, it's there. It's been on like the Showtimes.
Yep.
It really minimalizes and minimizes what Gladiator 2 is as a movie.
Yeah.
And it really shows the failure of Gladiator 2. Again, had you not called it that and maybe changed characters' names, maybe, maybe I would have been, at least have been entertained. Are you not
Right.
entertained? I might have been.
Right.
But knowing that this is a follow-up to Gladiator, which is a fantastic movie, let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
This one, not even
Yeah,
close.
in our podcast for that, I liked it a lot more than you did, but I understand your frustrations with it and whatnot, and I kind of, I guess I looked at it more as a sword and sandals type thing, but definitely never, it's ever going to measure up to the original. So yeah,
Sure, sure.
I get that one.
So, yeah, so
Okay,
you're next.
my number three, um, actually is I ended up watching it on a plane. And even on a plane where I'm sitting there bored out of my mind on a plane and I have all this time, I still couldn't quite finish it. Borderlands.
Border, oh my God,
Oh
you
my
poor thing.
God.
Yeah,
How horrible is this movie? And the cast is incredible.
I
And
know.
I
Yeah.
couldn't believe how bad it was. Kate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Edgar Ramirez, Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, Ariana Greenblatt. It was just, I just couldn't understand how bad it could go. I mean, it's kind of a. I guess it's based on a video game. Is that, am I
Of an
correct?
extraordinarily popular video game. Yep.
Right, right. An
And,
infamous bounty hunter played by Kate Blanchett returns to her childhood home, Pandora, and then all of this stuff happens, which I just could care less about. I mean, it was, I'm all for entering into a universe and and playing with it and being in there, but this was just, there was just nothing redeeming about it whatsoever, and I feel like I felt embarrassed for Kate Blanchett, to be honest with you. I
it
mean,
was
she's the only
directed
one
by
I,
Eli Roth,
yeah,
who
well,
has,
there's that. Yeah.
but he has a bit of cachet,
Right. Yeah.
too. So that
Yeah. But he's
is
more on the horror end of things and,
right.
but still, yeah, just nothing. I couldn't even finish it on the plane. So that's how bad it was for me. I was completely, it was
It,
nonsensical and I didn't care. And it was bad, horrible, horrible dialogue. And just, yeah, maybe the visuals, some stuff looked kind of cool. But other than that, yeah, pretty bad.
yeah, and when you're on a plane too, like
I know.
the and most you can do is like shut it off because you can't walk out.
No,
You
nope.
can't demand your money back. You can't walk out. So you're kind of stuck there. It's like, what other crappy movie do I have to choose from as you're
Yes,
scrolling in your little screen? Yeah,
yes.
sorry about that. That's 20,000 feet of terror right
Yeah,
there.
right,
Right there.
right.
All right.
Okay,
So
you're next.
I'm gonna go Civil War.
Yeah,
A
I
movie
knew you
that
were going to
came
put
out
that one on there.
oh yeah, a movie that came out much earlier in the year. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. I can't for the life of me figure out why. Um, listen, I had some character issues, some narrative issues. Albeit Kirsten Dunst puts in, I believe to have been a very good performance from her. It was just
Yeah.
stranded in a movie and narrative that um it real look, I'll just tell you, it doesn't help when we're kind of living something like it almost now, and there's a possibility, like you can kind of see this happening. But Alex Garland, who's the director, writer, he really twists it. He twists it in, and he tries to make this a point, and I didn't appreciate that. Um, and it was, when it got to the end, I did not enjoy how a conflict ended, and which resulted in one character dying, Kirsten Dunst's character, and the younger person, Kylene Spaley, who's in another movie that I somewhat have on this list as well, whose character was, I thought, deplorable. Um, it was just it was not an easy sit through. I didn't
Well, I
enjoy it
completely
at all.
disagreed with you on this one, but
Yes.
it didn't make my top five though. But I did. It's a movie that was one of the movies that gutted me this year. So
I remember.
yeah, I loved it. But
I actually believed it to be one of our best episodes too, believe it or not. I like it. Well, I do love it when we agree. I think the audience might agree with that too, but I love it. I do like it when we disagree. I think we have I enjoy talking movies with you. Because many a time I'll walk away when I shut the computer down. I think about what you say, and I still learn something
yeah,
stuff. So, but I do
no,
remember that episode very
yeah,
well. So
that
go
was a good
ahead.
one. All right, so my next one is Drive Away Dolls. Um,
Okay. Wow. Okay.
just again, another film that I had some good expectations about because it was directed by Ethan Cohen. And I think when we talked about it on our podcast back then, we both decided that Joel and Ethan are better together. Together. Don't separate. Put together. Somehow
Yes.
the magic of them together always works. But separate them, yeah, not so much. Yeah, this was another one I thought I had high expectations for. Margaret Qualley, Geraldine Viswanathan, Beanie Feldstein. I mean, it had some great, especially those two top characters. I
Decent
really like
cast.
those. Decent cast. Really, I thought it was going to be like one of those, sort of Fargo-esque crime dramas, and following these two
Right.
girls who find themselves in this, but it was just boring
Absolutely.
as all get out, and there was just nothing. The twists and whatnot that I expect in a Cohen type crime drama just weren't there, and it just failed on every level. Even though the two, I actually think Geraldine was miscast and she was misused, and she didn't get enough. She was kind of just a one note character the whole time. Margot was definitely a better character and a better actor, had a more juicier part, so to speak.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, just boring, and just the whole, the whole wrap up of it just didn't. It was like, wah, wah, just
That's it.
didn't work for the pedigree behind it.
And what's a little bit interesting too is because it was a good trailer.
Yes,
I felt it was a good trailer.
yes,
And
totally,
the trailer did what a trailer should do. It
right,
should get you interested about a movie, because when you think about a movie like a Drive Away Dolls, right? It's not part of any franchise, whatever. So the trailer has to educate an audience. It has to
yeah,
go out there and have an audience go, that looks good.
yeah.
That looks funny. And it's the kind of thing where the trailer looks good and you walk out going, what
What
was that?
happened? What
What
happened?
happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So,
right, that's my fourth.
okay.
So what about you?
I am going to go with the movie Challengers.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Uh, yo,
so funny.
this movie, the headache inducing, sexless, just again, awful. Yeah, it definitely makes my it would be if we were ranking them, it would definitely be within my top three. Um, I this is the one that starred Zendaya,
Hmm.
right? And Mike Feist, and who's the other gentleman? Josh O'Connor, and it was a Luca Guadagnino opus.
Yeah.
Who, the more I this is not, uh, I do not. This guy, I don't get why people like his movies.
Hmm.
Period. But this movie,
You did
again,
like
when you
Call Me
talk
by
about,
My Name? Hmm.
I mean, it's probably his best. But when I watch a movie like Challengers, number one, when you sell it as a sexy movie, give me a sexy movie. Like there was nothing sexy about the
Yeah,
quote
that I
unquote
think it
sex
was
scenes.
misleading. It was misleading in that
And
regard. I agree. Because really, ultimately, and I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it.
no,
It's a tennis movie. See, and I'm a tennis player. So it
yeah,
spoke to me on that level. That's why I
and
liked it. It's
I
a
get
tennis
that.
movie.
It is a tennis movie, but even the tennis was like, because this movie was supposed to kind of have a twist too, and it didn't work. I could have cared less. And between and again, when you're talking about score, right? The movie had it was done by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who
Right.
have, again, they have a cred in Hollywood. I believe they've won an Academy Award,
Yeah.
right? They have cred in Hollywood for doing some damn fine scores, right?
Right.
Not here. I mean, talk about repetitive, monotonous, and this is where the headache inducing comes in. It was just like a bad rave. And when you talked about the tennis, there were scenes that, like, it that were shot as if the tennis court were made out of glass, and we're looking up above as they're bouncing balls and this, and I'm like, I don't need it. I would rather,
Well, I
watch
enjoyed it
it
a
from
lot more
Alfred
than you did.
Hitchcock. Oh yeah. No.
I did. I
Challengers
thought some of
definitely
the
excel.
character that some of the character what developments were interesting too. But
Oof.
yeah, no, I like
Oof.
that one.
All
Again,
right,
not on
that's
my top
fine.
five, but I enjoyed it. You're like
What's
all
your
the Oscar contenders for me.
yeah.
All right, so my fifth one, ready?
Yes.
Madam Web.
Fair.
Madam
Fair.
Web.
Okay.
Again, I'm not entirely sure. It felt so thrown together that like why is this movie in existence? Because it didn't add anything to any of the you know the Marvel universe at all, which is it's under the MCU, I guess, so to speak. Again, felt entirely embarrassed for Dakota Johnson. Just really embarrassed for her. She really did try her best too. I swear to God, she did, and she didn't just phone it in. She tried, but again, it's a movie that just shouldn't have been made at all. It lent nothing to anything that of the MCU that we know, and of course the MCU has been failing as really the last few years, and ever since they ended the Avenger thing, it's just you know they haven't found their footing. They really haven't.
No.
And I hope that they might, but this was definitely the worst of the worst. Well, I would say it's on par with the Marvels, probably, even though the
I mean, the
Marvels
Marvels
was
was, yeah.
continuation of Captain Marvel, which I didn't love either, but I got it. I understood where I existed, and it was part of the whole timeline. And that this one is just it was like, why spend the money on this? He made this movie. It had nothing to do with anything, and it was again boring, slogging through it, and the big action sequences were just on and on and on, and with no real purpose. So that's my last one
Y-
on my
You know,
worst
I
list.
think the problem with this too is, okay, so this is Madam Web. This is a Sony picture. Okay.
Right.
So Sony has the rights to Spider-Man. Okay. And the Spider-Man universe,
Right.
of which Madam Web and another recent opus called Craven the Hunter,
Oh.
which, was the nobody was Craven that hunter. Uh, and I believe the problem is so Sony has made a deal with Disney that they will lend Disney, who owns Marvel, Spider-Man, the character to be in their Marvel, the MCU.
Right.
And they can use Spider-Man when he's in an Avengers or things like that. Sony puts him on loan, but Sony is stuck, so to speak, or
Yeah.
trapped into making movies about characters who are in that universe. That's why you get Venom. That's why you get Craven the Hunter. That's why you get Madam Web. And outside of there was another one too with Jared Leto played a vampire.
Oh, right. Morbius.
Yes, that's another
Moribus.
one.
Moribus. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you had it right the first time. Good job. I didn't even remember the title. That's how bad it was. So, um, they, they, so outside of Venom, which those movies have brought in box office,
Right.
I just don't think the other big thing is that has turned people off is they don't have Spider-Man show up. So there was a Venom Spider-Man movie. Sam Raimi did it. But in the Venom movies, you're in that Spider-Man universe, but we never see Spider-Man. It never gave the audiences what it wanted, and we never see Spider-Man square off or partner up with any of these characters.
Right.
So that ends up being a problem. And I don't think that the writing has been smart enough to make these B or C Marvel characters pop or give them anything that audiences would care about outside
Right.
of what Tom Hardy did with Venom. So I
Yeah.
think that's a problem going forward. I don't know what Sony's going to do
Yeah.
in the future. I mean, they have the animated Spider-Man movies, which do very well, and I think have been better
Right.
than the live action ones that they've
Oh,
made.
yeah. Yeah.
They're fantastic. I don't, I, at this point, I don't know what they can do outside of maybe go, hey, Disney, you want to, you've got cash,
Yeah. Yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
maybe sell the rights. That would be smart.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And actually, it's funny. I was looking through the list of all the movies I could pick that didn't like, and I realized that I actually avoided movies I knew were going to be back. So I didn't actually see them, like Venom. I don't know if it was good or not, but I didn't go see it because I just didn't care that much about it. And
Venom kind of has as much as I didn't like it. I'm going to tell you something. Dear viewer and or listener, forgive me for being a little bit maudlin here, but hey, just deal with it. Venom, I wasn't a fan of the movie, but you know what was special about Venom for me? This is when I first met you.
oh, that's
Yep, if you
right.
remember. Yep.
That's
The Venom
right.
screening at Century City. It was the first time it was when we actually met face to
Yes, the
face.
sky, and we went out, and
Yep, we watched a movie together for the first time.
oh,
We talked movies. We went out and had a very fun dinner. Went to that burger place at Century
yep.
City that no longer exists,
Oh,
by the ways. We had great movie talk. Our friendship connection was instant, and without Venom, uh, for good or for bad,
oh, we would have met. We
the
would have
show,
met, but it's good
but the
that
show
Venom was
might
our
not
first
have
one. Yep.
existed. I'm just saying, without Venom, the show might not have existed. So, um,
All
if
right.
those people out there want further reason to hate Venom or love Venom,
Yeah.
so that's why Venom, that first one, I didn't like the movie, but
Yeah.
I met you, and
Yay.
so there you go.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. All right, now
Yeah.
let's talk about movies we
Okay.
did like.
Wait, I do have one other movie
Oh,
that
are
I
you
I
last?
have to
Oh,
put.
that's right.
Yeah, I'm gonna Yeah, and this is a big one. This is a big one. Um, and it is a superhero movie, and
Mm.
it is Deadpool Wolverine.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you didn't
As
like
make
that.
Yeah, that's another what it was just a chaotic mess. A chaotic mess of a movie that was nonsense, senseless, and it just ruined everything set up in Deadpool and Deadpool 2, which both those movies I enjoyed, and their narrative structure, which each of the first two movies started off with, this is a love movie, this is a romance movie, this is a family film. I don't know what the hell kind of film Deadpool Wolverine was, because whatever we built up in Deadpool and Deadpool 2, as far as Deadpool and his girlfriend, and it didn't matter. This was a movie made to make money, which it did, which I'm not going to fault because, listen, the industry needed a boost at that time. But as a movie, and as when you go strictly for jokes and laughs and whatever, and you don't care about narrative, and it also tainted Logan for me, because Logan to me is a near perfect, if not perfect, superhero movie.
Great movie.
Um, you know, you're bringing in characters and like with no explanation why, other than they're here. We're in this stupid Mad Max ripoff of a world, and oh, by the end of it, I was angry. So yes, Deadpool Wolverine makes my list of one of the worst movies of the year, regardless of how much money it made. And I think it for helping the industry out. I'm just not one of those people who liked it.
Well, again, I disagree with you on that one. I had fun with that one, but
I
uh
know.
that was another popcorn. Again, though, did not make my top 10 list.
Okay. So
So
shall
top
we
10.
switch?
Well, top five, I mean. Yeah, let's talk about
Yes.
good movies.
Yeah, let's talk about good movies. I am gonna say, why don't we save, because again, I'm not Kreskin here, but I do believe I know what your favorite movie of the year is. In
Yes.
fact, you, dear viewer and listener, if you watch our show, you should know what it is, because it was
Yeah.
the last movie we reviewed together,
Yes.
and it's a great episode. And go back and watch it, because you'll have a wicked awesome time.
Yeah, you will. Wicked awesome.
So, what outside of that movie that we'll save for last?
Okay.
Go ahead. What was another one of your favorite movies of 2024?
I'm gonna actually say, and these are ones I've actually recently seen. A lot of them are.
Fair.
You know what? I'm gonna do with one. I'm gonna start with the one that is the was the further back that I
Sure.
love. Quiet Place Day One.
Oh, okay, good.
That is, you and I both loved it. But it really still just resonates with me. And I haven't had a chance to watch the whole. I've watched a little bit of it again, but I had to kind of stop. I actually might want to watch it with my mom, who's a big movie lover. She's here in town with me for the
Oh,
holidays.
nice.
Um, yeah, it was a monster movie to the nth degree. The Quiet Place movies have all been pretty good in my opinion. The monsters are horrible, and this time it takes place day one in New York City, where the sound is, where it's hard to not be loud. And just the
Mm.
relationship between Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn, who again we both are big Joseph Quinn fans. Was so poignant and so beautiful amongst this, horrifying scenario. And, you know, I the mix of both action, horror, and just drama and romance sort of, and just poignancy. Just the combination was incredible. So that's definitely one of my top fives.
It's I will say this. It's definitely in my top 10. I do not disagree with you with anything you said. And I know we raved about this movie. And in my opinion, it still has one of the most heartfelt,
Heartfelt.
tear-jerking scenes that I've seen all year long. And this is the scene, of course, in the jazz lounge upstairs from the pizza place that Lupita wanted to, she wanted to go and get a slice of pizza. This is her day
Yeah.
in New York that was ruined by these monsters. It's a monster movie, not that's not about the monsters, and those make the
Yeah.
best monster movies, you know?
Yes.
Um, and Joseph Quinn gives just such a heartful performance. And it's where you really notice him as an actor. And I'll say this about Gladiator 2,
Yes.
he was one of the highlights of that movie,
Yeah. Me
but
too.
I think the person has versatility
Hmm.
and he can be utilized in being good, being bad. I would like for him to be more good, but in this movie, A Quiet Place Day One, he was spectacular. You and I talked about Lupita's performance as being, I believe it to be
Oscar worthy.
Oscar worthy. She was
Yeah.
wonderful in this movie. And at the end of it, like it ties into the other movies
Yes.
very well, and
Yes.
it doesn't break its own rules to do it.
Mm-mm.
I agree with you. It's definitely in my top 10, but I'm glad you brought that up because it's a great movie to talk about and recap for the year because maybe like your mom may have not have seen it. If you have Paramount Plus, um, it's there. You
Yeah.
can see it, rent it, own it, buy it, worth it.
Yes.
So I am going to start off with uh, I'm going to start off with a smaller picture, but nonetheless, just because it's smaller doesn't mean it's not big on story, production design, and directing. And that movie is Conclave.
Oh, well, that's on my list too.
Oh, okay.
So,
Conclave. I'm going to start off with Conclave. This is the movie that takes place in the Vatican. The Pope dies. It's time to pick a new pope. Ray Fiennes is charged with being the person to herd cats and
yes.
basically get everybody together, and they have to do this unanimous vote. Look, uh, they do the smoke and all this. This movie, directed by Edward Berger, stars Ray Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow,
Yeah, amazing cast.
others. Amazing cast and amazing performances. This movie, albeit I wouldn't call it a thriller, but there were some times that were tense. I wouldn't, it's a drama and I got hooked in, but I think for me where this movie really works is I felt as if I were in the Vatican.
Oh, yeah.
I felt as I was watching this drama play out
Yep.
and it made me cringe, but at the same time, because it's the Vatican, you think, oh, they're so holy, these people, because we
No.
put them and they're just as petty and devious
Yep.
as the real world outside
And
of them.
human.
And
Yeah.
and I believed, even though it's a fictional story, at the same time, I believe that it could
That's kind of
actually
how it
go down that
works.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did too. So let me talk about it from on my end. This
Yes,
is my number two.
please.
I just was, I was just riveted with it. And it's based on a book. So it's going to be an adapted screenplay. And I absolutely think, hands down, it should win adapted screenplay. It was one of the best written scripts of the year for sure.
Yeah.
Um, just, yeah, like you said, I mean, the Vatican, the Catholic Church in general, is just steeped with just all kinds of scandals, all kinds of whatever, but also the rituals that are
Yes. The
embedded in
traditions.
this
Yep.
religion and the traditions, especially at the Vatican, and especially when picking a new pope. It's like it's unbelievable what ends up happening. They have to be sequestered. Everything has to be shut down. I mean, I just thought all the details to this were, like you said, it put me right there. I was right there. But then again, you realize that you could put this in any kind of political realm,
Uh,
and
the
you'd have the same.
politicking. Yeah.
It's a political thriller is what it is, and drama,
Sure. I buy
political
that.
drama, and um, just the idea of trying to, I mean, it's the same kind of situation that we have. It's like do you stick with the antiquated, horrible old traditions that this Catholic Church has, or do you try to push it forward into the modern age and make it more accessible? Because that's always been the issue about, you know, Catholic Church in general is it's losing its congregation,
Followers,
basically.
sure.
Yeah, followers. It's losing that because of the strictness of the faith. And you want forward thinking people, so of course we're on that end of it. But then you've got the people who want it to be the way it always was, and you can't allow this, you can't allow that. So the twist, and I don't want to give it away at all, at all, at all, at all, at all, because you have got to watch this movie. It's on Peacock right now. If you
Yeah.
have Peacock, you can watch it. Um, was brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I
And
think the twist.
I was
Yep.
absolutely just, I like, my mouth just went, and I went, oh my God. I don't know. All of it. And Ray Fiennes, hands down will win Best Actor for this. There's no question in my mind that
Okay.
there's anyone who can. I don't think so. I mean, I
I,
haven't seen the
I'm gonna
Brutalist yet, so I don't know about that one. I know Adrian Brody has been touted, but he's already won an Oscar for playing
and,
for
and and
playing
and
a
don't forget, like,
famous Jewish
there's that
person.
Timothy Chalamet guy.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see about that too. I still think Rafe
But
has a really great shot at winning this.
I think he is definitely worthy. I
Yeah.
think his performance. I also love Stanley Tucci
And Stanley Tucci
as
was brilliant
well.
too.
It
Yeah.
was good to
But
see
they
him,
were all
and
good.
yeah, it was damn everything. The only waste in that movie for me, but it didn't keep it from me talking about this as one of my favorites of the year, was Isabella Rossellini.
Yeah.
She seemed to be there, number just to showcase an expression. She didn't have much to do, yet she ends up being pivotal. She's not in the movie a lot, other than she shows expressions, and
Yeah.
then
But
that's it.
but also she represents the female
Yeah, yes.
whatever it is that's part of the church.
She
Yeah. So
wasn't
yeah,
given a
interesting.
lot to do,
No,
but
but she did
uh,
a
you
lot
know,
with what she was given, I thought,
sure. It didn't, again. It didn't change my attitude of the movie.
Yeah.
It gave us a front row seat to something that literally, legitimately happens,
Yep.
and I felt like I was being taken through the process. It was something of like a great courtroom drama,
Yeah.
which pulls you in like a verdict, and you there, or even the movie Spotlight, where
Yes.
you're following
Yes.
journalists around, like, this is
I
it,
love
this is how it's done.
journalism movies are always my most favorite, but yes, yes, it's very much
All
like
the
that. Yep.
President's Men.
Oh
Conclave
my God.
reminded me of that because I felt
Yes,
I
yes,
was
yes.
in the Vatican. The
Yep.
production design, they didn't film in the Vatican, but it felt as if they did.
Oh,
And
100%.
I'm sure some exteriors that
So
it
cold
really is.
though. I mean,
Yeah.
there's beauty to it, but there's all that marble. It just made me feel cold.
You're
Like
funny. It's
their little
yeah.
apartments they had to stay in was just like yeah. I don't know.
So what's your next
It was
one?
brilliant. Okay, so my
Yes.
next one, I think we might differ on this one a little bit. However, the
Go
more
ahead.
I think about it, the more I liked it.
Sure.
Honora.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, now I we did talk about this earlier, and we haven't reviewed it officially
No.
between the two of us. But that first part of it, I kind of half agree with you, which is just a little too much. I mean, it's about this stripper who ends up, becoming like the girlfriend of the son of a Russian oligarch, and he's such a little shithead, you could tell right away. So I was surprised by that because honestly, I thought there was going to be more of a romance, more of a love story involved, and it's really not at all. But once they do all of their partying and all of them going to Vegas and getting married and all that kind of stuff spontaneously, then the movie really sings for me. I thought from that point on, the movie was fantastic. The whole sort of quest to find him, because the son runs away, and poor Nora, she's stuck with these Armenian, actually Armenian henchmen who are working for the father of this kid, and they're trying to find him because they've got to get this marriage annulled and all of this stuff, and that whole chase, all of that was very fascinating. And then Mikey Madison, because you kind of she's sort of a one note at first, but then the more it goes along, the more layers you see to her. And that final scene in the car with the one henchman that was actually a nice guy ends up being, um just really hit me hard. It hit me, like, wow, that was an interesting way to end the film. And and at that point, I also thought to myself, well, she hasn't had a meltdown over this yet, really. She's been so strong and so, brass, and you can't push me around, and, the whole New York, New Jersey girl in her and stuff, and just her tough life that she's had. And, she's just this tough exterior. And she hadn't really had that meltdown. I don't know. I really, the more I think about it, the more I really, really, really liked it. So I can understand
Mhm.
why it's getting all the buzz. But the first part is a little hard to get through. Like, I could understand people turning it off, like, what is this dumb movie? But you gotta sit through that little part of it, and then you really get to the meat of it. That's my opinion.
Mm. Fair. I know the first 20 minutes almost just walked out. Um, and for me, the characters are unlikable. Her character, albeit she's good, is dumb because throughout
Yeah, but
she
then
can't
she
see that
kind
this
of
guy's.
isn't.
No, she kind
Yeah,
of is.
that's true. That's
No,
true.
she kind of is. She has her self-realization at that last frame, but by then, too late. I've already sat through 2 hours of this, and now the last frame of the movie, you're gonna show me that she has a self-realization that she was dumb? Nope, sorry. And the tonal shifts in this movie. So it goes from the first 20 minutes, which are pretty raw, right?
Hmm.
And then they go to Vegas, and all of a sudden, like, okay, great. Like, is she so stupid that she really thinks this guy's in love with her?
Hmm.
When the movie, the point that you make to me is really, and then there's that tonal switch. It goes from this potential romantic comedy kind of thing to like a
Right.
screwball comedy.
Right.
The best character in that movie was the guy that was the Armenian priest.
Yeah. Oh,
This
yeah.
guy, he's like,
He
he,
wasn't a priest. He was just the henchman. He was just there at the beginning. He
no,
wasn't the priest.
he's a, no, I'm
No,
talking
no,
about,
he's not.
he's the
You talking
priest,
about the main guy who was there for the
the
christening?
main henchman who is there for the christening, all dressed up in his robes, and he leaves the
No,
christening.
no, that was just because he was there for the christening. He was not a priest.
I believed he was, okay. I
No,
thought he was like a
no,
priest.
no,
Oh,
no. It
okay.
was the ritual of the christening. You had to wear the
Right.
robes. It's an
Okay. But
Armenian
oh,
Orthodox
okay.
situation.
I'm Orthodox, and but I just don't remember being baptized. But in any case, the mere fact that he walks out of a christening, the mere fact that like this guy, the pain on his face
Oh, I
was
know.
like
That's
because
what I'm saying.
every
It just
step he
it
went,
got comedic.
great. It was a
Yeah.
screwball comedy, and then it switched again, and I'm like,
Yes.
what? No. And here's to show again how not so bright this character was. Like, really, you did not know you're dealing with not they weren't just oligarchs. They are Russian underworld. Like
Yeah.
they're not good people.
No.
So there's a moment in the movie where she's like, "Okay, we're gonna get this done," and then she tells this brat kid's mother, "You know what? I'm gonna get you back, and I'm gonna do this." And I'm sitting there watching this, going, "Really? You think so, huh?" And then the mother comes back and goes, "You could do all that, my dear, but I know you. I know I'll know where your parents live, your family, your
Yeah.
friends, and I will wipe them out."
Yeah.
And done. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's nice. Like,
I know,
it,
but she had, I don't know. There was just this fierceness about her
there was no
I really
fierceness
liked.
because
I
there's
liked her.
nothing she could do to back her up. I mean, that scene when they're trying to hold her down
Oh, I
and the one
know.
henchman, that stuff is funny. There's no argument for me. The movie did not make my worst list. I don't think it's as good as everybody else is saying. I've seen a lot better movies and movies with characters that I actually cared about. I didn't care. I cared about the henchmen
Yeah.
more because
I don't
those
know.
guys were like,
I did.
they're
I
just
liked it.
trying to do a job. So
I'm just trying to,
that's
yeah.
our
I mean,
quick
I
and
kind of
our.
watched. I watched all of the ones that are getting all the. And we'll have a separate conversation about Oscars, but I have watched a lot of the ones that are getting touted, like The Substance, which I actually enjoyed too. But I can't put it on my top five because it was just
Yeah.
so gross. But
Yeah.
anyway, and Amelia Perez too. That's another weird one. But okay, go ahead. You're next.
Okay, so I am going to talk about that movie that you had in your worst. So here's the yin and yang
Joker.
of the show. Joker Folie à Deux. Yes, I really liked yeah, I like this movie a lot. I've watched it a couple of times now, and I have to say in my repeat viewing, I noticed a lot more. To me, it's rare that a sequel movie, because somebody this morning asked me, Joker, this one is it better, worse? I go, no, you have to watch them side by side. But I rarely have I ever watched a sequel that deconstructs the movie previously. This movie is not an origin story. The Joker, the first movie, and I get it. You know, Todd Phillips, the director, right? He did something. He pulled the wool over our eyes. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
The Joker was set up to be an origin story of the Joker. Joker Folie à Deux says, no, no, it's not what this is about. This is not an origin story of the Joker. This is the tragedy of Arthur Fleck, and it's about mental illness. And the true villain of Joker Folie à Deux is Harley Quinn, played by Lady Gaga, who is very good in the movie. The both were very good, and the movie is a tragedy. It is very tragic. It is far darker than the first movie was, and it is a movie about identity. What identity do I have? What identity do I want to keep? Everybody knows me as the Joker, but they listen to me as the Joker, but they don't listen to me as Arthur Flack. And I find it funny because I also believe this to be a movie that's the perfect example of how life imitates art. So, and I'm not talking, and you could say that art is Arthur Fleck because, as we all know, hindsight's 2020. This movie was a flop. It was a box office flop. Fine. Why? Because people did not want to see Arthur Fleck. They
Right.
don't care about Arthur Fleck, which has been the main statement of the movie.
Right.
All Arthur Fleck wanted to be is listened and heard to. And everywhere he went, he was denied extra drugs. His social worker was going on to another case. Nobody listened to Arthur Fleck, but they listened to the Joker. And Arthur hated the fact in this movie he got roped into being the Joker by Lady Gaga. He couldn't find his identity, and at the end, he finds like, I look, I just want you to pay attention to me, and the audiences didn't. They wanted Joker. They didn't care about Arthur Fleck's
Well,
mental
because I
illness.
just don't. Again, but he's the kind of a character that's like you said, unlikable. I don't really care about Arthur Fleck that much, to be honest with you, because he's just such a depraved,
But he's
sad.
not a
Yeah,
bad person. He was
well,
forced
kind of
into
is.
being bad. No, he kind of is not. When you think, look, I'm not saying that murder is good. Don't don't misunderstand.
Yeah,
But in the situations that Arthur Fleck was put in, the
yeah,
situation on the train, the situation in his apartment, that guy bullied him. These people bullied him. They were beating him up. The movie opens up with him at his job as a clown, and he gets like he gets jumped. He gets beat up for just being a clown. And when he goes to his boss's first reaction is, "Where's the sign?" And he's like, "Wait, what?" He's like, where's the sign? He goes, I don't know. They kicked the shit out of me on the street. They took it. Well, the people, that you were doing working for, they
It's
spent money
okay.
on
I
that
get it.
sign. They
I
want
get
it
it. We
back.
don't.
That
We get it.
bothered.
We get it.
See, but I'm just saying, I look, I did care about Arthur Fleck. I cared about the Joker, but it's what I appreciated about Folie à Deux is that it was a movie about identity, and that Lady Gaga, Harley Quinn's the true villain of that movie, and
I
so
I can see that.
there you go.
Yeah. All
That
right.
that makes fun. What's your next?
Okay. My next one is Saturday Night.
Go
Is
ahead.
that on your
Thanks.
list too?
Yep.
Okay. Let's both talk about it then.
Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
we're both on par here. Yeah.
Yep.
This was one of those films where I love a sneak behind the peek behind the
Hmm.
curtain kind of thing. And even though I know some of they embellished a lot of what actually happened the 90 minutes before the very first Saturday Night Live show premiered in 1977, or was that 77, I think. That watching all of the machinations and the behind the scenes and who's doing what and who can do what, and just all the characterizations of all those beloved, I don't know, like people that we, from Chevy Chase to Dan Aykroyd to Gilda Radner. Everyone got a chance to shine in this film, and the main guy playing Lorne Michaels was quite good. And yeah, I mean,
Gabriel LaBelle. Well,
Gabriel Bell, there he is. I just enjoyed it because not only is it a film that I think people, even if they didn't know Saturday Night Live, or just starting to watch Saturday Night Live, knowing that it's been around for 50 years and how it began, we, being that we're on the slightly older, slightly older of the generation,
you're being kind. Yeah.
we watched it when it first started, and just knowing that, being in that nostalgia and watching that unfold again, and just how hard it was to get it done and how chaotic it was. And of course there was some amazing performances, like I said, Gabriel LaBelle, but also I really loved Dylan O'Brien as Dan Aykroyd. um uh I just had a blast with it, and it was just it reminded me how much that show has really, even though it might not be great now, or it can be great sometimes, and
Oh,
the casts have come and gone, and great cast here, bad cast there, but it's just been a staple and an amazing phenomenon on television. And to watch it all unfold it was fun, a lot of fun.
a lot of fun. I know it was one of our favorites. I remember
Yeah,
talking about that movie, and you are right. It hit the both of us on a very nostalgic level. I remember the first time I watched the movie. Um, I did tear up a bit because there were things that I remember that made me, as a kid, smile and laugh so hard that rewatching them recreate a lot of this, and then have hints of future sketches that become beloved was fantastic. I loved how you use the word embellished because yes, it didn't go down exactly that way, but there were many of the things that that actually did happen that transpired over maybe not 90 minutes. I
right.
was just never I never knew that it was so close on the precipice of never not happening,
Yeah, I know.
and that there were people against it. Not surprised that Johnny Carson was opposed
Yes.
to this, which was actually true. Milton Berle,
Yeah,
um,
he was
who was,
definitely not there the night that it aired, but yes, yeah, he
yes,
was in
he
that. He was
had
in the studio. Yeah,
influence and ends up being banned by Lorne Michaels from for Lifetime on the set. I loved what it brought forward. It has a great rewatchability to it. So if you have the opportunity, rewatch it if you can.
definitely.
It's worth it. One other thing that it did, because a lot of things like just weirdly kind of happened after watching Saturday night. First off, there was Turner Classic Movies showcased Gilda live. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
HBO showed it, her Broadway show called Gilda Live. I did not know. Lauren Michaels directed it. Didn't
Ah,
know. Did not know this. Also, watching on cable, DirecTV, whatever you want to call it, I was watching a great comedy classic to me, anyways, The Three Amigos. And unbeknownst to me at the time, um, that movie was co-written by Steve Martin and who else?
Lauren
Lauren
Michaels.
was like, what? Now, I know that he has stake in these characters when they've made the leap from the small screen to the big screen. I
Yeah.
didn't realize he was writing stuff and bits for these movies. Made me appreciate him a little bit more. I got to talk to Gabriel LaBelle about that a bit at our show. Um, I think Gabriel LaBelle is a fantastic actor for the mere fact that, and I don't mean this as an insult, he looks like he's 15. He's
Right.
very young, and yet he's played two very iconic people within the entertainment industry. Number one,
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg and Fablemans, in which I believed him to be fantastic. Fablemans, one of my favorite movies of that year. And now he's playing Lauren Michaels. He does a fantastic job of herding cats. and,
Yes. Another herding
and
cats. Yes.
yeah, and it 100% agree with you. Saturday Night, one of the best movies of
Yeah.
2024.
Yes. Of
So
course. Now that brings us to.
I'm going to move. I'm going to do something. I'm going to switch gears as far as genre goes a bit. Like you talked about Quiet Place Day One. I am going to talk about another horror sequel, and that being Smile 2.
Yeah, that was on my list. That was my
Yeah, was it
alternate. That was
real?
my alternative. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Smile 2 surprised the hell out of me. I'm a big fan of the first Smile movie. Again, it's one of those movies I did not believe that you could go darker, deeper and darker, and
Yeah.
this movie did. This movie
Yeah.
was even
It
more
was
chilling,
terrifying.
terrifying. Naomi Scott,
Yeah.
to me,
She nailed it.
another person who should be considered Academy.
Oh yeah.
This is what a sequel should be. They should entertain. It should be bigger, but not bigger in just like every sense. Like, oh, let's make
Right,
it big.
right, right.
Let's make the kills bigger and more gorier.
Yeah, yeah.
No, this movie went darker, deeper, and chilling. It was
Yeah.
chilling. I walked out going, "Oof, okay,
Yeah.
that was something. That was an experience. It was a
Yep.
great movie going experience."
Yep.
Thus landing in one of my favorites of 2024.
And that's definitely my alternate.
Yeah,
I had it on my list too. So,
that's
and that
great.
leads us to da, da, da.
Are we going wait, are we going to number one? Oh,
Oh,
because
aren't you?
God, all
Wouldn't that
right.
be?
I don't know. I've lost count, but well, yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
Wicked is our number one film of the year.
Wicked is our number one movie of the year.
I mean, from from just a cinematic, unbelievable experience. I mean, Dune 2 was also a cinematic experience, but I wouldn't put it on my top five because I think it kind of drags and slogs a little bit, but Wicked is just, from the production, from the cinematography to the amazing performances by the two lead actresses to just the story, the songs, everything. And I'm not a musical fan, so we know about that. But I just from start to finish was just mesmerized and wanting to be in the world of Oz. So it was fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. And I'm so glad that this movie, I'm glad that it happened. I'm glad that, this was it was hard to get finished because, they filmed just prior to the world shutting down and
Yeah,
working on this. And it's amazing what they were able to accomplish. And they had an uphill battle, I believe, Universal and the filmmakers. People really not liking the trailer, and we've talked trailers a lot in this show. People didn't like the trailer. As soon as the runtime came out, people said, "Oh, they already discounted it as a flop.
yeah,
What? It's longer than Dune 2. What? The movie's gonna fail." Nobody's going to want to go see it. Well, I'm really glad that it found an audience across section. This is a four quadrant movie. I'm glad that it was able to bring Broadway to the silver screen in such a way that
Yeah.
for the people who can't afford to go to Broadway to
Yeah, I
see a
mean
play,
it's like Chicago. I mean, I think that's one of the other
yes.
movie musicals that really brought that show to life on the big screen better than any other, that I can think of in recent memory for
And
me anyway.
grabs an audience. In this movie, though, it grabs boys and girls, but it grabs girls and who they're not going to Broadway, but they
Yeah,
can go to the movies. And now they're going to be able to sing along, and people have broken out
yeah,
into song, and people have taken pictures, which I'm not going to support that, but it has done something to our pop culture this year that no other movie has. This is this year's, I don't know, Barbie, but I think it's better than Barbie. I think
oh,
the
it's
movie
better than
really does
Barbie.
fly. I think it's bigger, and I think what it has to say, I can't wait for, uh, I
Wicked
can't wait for
for
part two.
good.
Yes, for good. The cast was amazing. John M. Chu was
Yeah,
fantastic. And yes, favorite movies. There are some other movies I know that we
I
discussed.
know. We
They
got
may
to
have
kind of wrap
fallen off.
this up here. So, but
Okay.
yes,
But we should mention
just list them
Twisters,
off.
Fall Guy,
Twisters, Fall Guy,
right?
which didn't do very well at all, but I just watched it again. It
No.
was just as much fun.
Did you really? Did it really hold up
Yes,
for you? Great.
yes. My mom loved
Wild
it.
Robot. Yeah,
Wild Robot.
Wild
I didn't see
Robot.
that.
Speak No Evil, My Old
Yes.
Ass. These are Real Pain. These are all movies that you should see. I believe. There's another small movie called I'll Be Right There. Again, it's one of those movies that not a lot of people watched. It's a very small movie, but nonetheless, a very good feel-good movie. So look that up. But those are, some of those honorable mentions that were, I know, my favorite movies of the year. And you and I, we reviewed a lot of these movies together in which we were simpatico. Um,
Yes.
I think there were a lot of entertaining movies out this year.
But
Um,
ultimately, not the greatest of years, to be honest with you.
that's
I
what people are
mean,
saying, but I
mhm,
was entertained more than I thought. You
maybe.
know,
I
uh,
think what I got disappointed with mostly is towards the end of the year with,
mm,
some of these movies because sometimes they come out really and you're like you're really trying to rack your brain and say what's going to be best picture because there's been some really good ones.
right.
But this
No,
year I don't think
true.
there's any.
True
I don't
that, but
think there's
remember the
much
good time?
competition.
But remember the good times we had watching Speak No Evil?
Yes.
Remember how good a time? How about Abigail?
Yeah,
There was some
that was
movies
fun.
there was some
And
movies that
Twisters.
we Twisters, there was some movies that we were able to watch together that were a lot of fun and I
Yeah.
think deserving to be as a favorites list.
Yeah.
You may not think creatively, oh, they're best picture. Let's play, they're my favorites.
Yeah.
And I had a really good time and go back and watch those shows and
Yep.
Kit
And join us next
smiles.
year where we'll have a whole
Yeah.
other year, a whole full year of hopefully
Just
really great movies.
if Kit doesn't if her smile is not infectious to you and her laugh when she talks about these movies and when we're not clashing on things, to me, that's what makes the movie going experience magical. And that's what it's all about
Right.
because you know people who are like Kit, um, who have that same enthusiasm. So, these are what make up favorite movies, folks, throughout your lifetime. So, thanks,
Right.
Kit.
And thanks
Kit,
you.
want to wish you a very Merry Christmas.
You too.
I can't wait to pick this up next year. There's going to be a whole lot to talk about. We have Oscars, the Golden Globes, all this stuff to talk about what we
Yep.
think snubs and who, deserved, not deserved. We'll have a
Yes.
lot to talk about in the years, and we're going to have a lot of good movies and fingers
Can't
crossed,
wait.
fun movies. Kit, let me tell you, let me thank you for this wonderful year of talking
To you,
movies with
Demetri.
Kit.
And look,
You're
you guys, Demetri also, I have to sing his praises as well because I mean, we do think a lot alike about things, but then we do disagree. But he absolutely he does his homework, and he really, your reviews are always very, very informational, and and good, because you give some backgrounds to stuff, and it's it's always great to hear, to talk to
Well,
you about that kind of stuff as well. So
thank you. But thank you for a great year. Thank you
you
for
too.
your friendship throughout the years.
You too.
And love you, Kit,
Love you
and
too.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays to everybody out
Happy
there as
holidays.
well. And we'll be
See
back.
you next year. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye.
Okay.